everyone, this is Bob Sorrentino from Italian Roots and Genealogy. Be sure to check out our Facebook group and our YouTube channel and our newsletter and our great sponsors, Abitativa Casa, Italy Rooting, and Phil Italy. And today I have a very special guest, a fantastic opera singer from New York City, Cristina Fontanelli. So welcome, Cristina. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you. E ciao a tutti. It's a pleasure.
So we certainly want to talk about your singing and your events, but before we do that, where did you grow up in New York and what's your Italian background?
Well, I was born in Brooklyn in Sheepshead Bay, but my parents, Francesca and Rocco, you can't get more Italian than that, right? They actually met at Coney Island. They were double dating, but with somebody else, and they fell in love and they got married, and my mother was from Hoboken. So I was born in Brooklyn because my father was from Brooklyn. And her side of the family is Pugliese from Molfetta. And I was so honored because it's 10 years ago already, but they have this award called the Pugliese nel Mondo. It's for an artist that made their name in the world. So they flew me to Italy as a Pugliese that made their name in the world, an artist. And I participated in Metamex. It's a great, huge European music festival in Bari, Italy. And then they set up a concert for me in Molfetta at the Museo Diocesano, the Diocesan Museum. And it was just an amazing experience. At the end of my concert, a Monsignor got on the microphone, came on the stage, and he said, Mingucci. And that was my grandfather Dominic's nickname. They knew each other from Molfetta and from Hoboken.
No kidding.
Oh, my God, what an experience. And my father's side, if you want me to keep going.
Yeah, sure.
Now, my father's side, the roots are Naples, Salerno, and my grandmother was Basilicata, I believe. My grandfather was from Gragnano, where they make the pasta.
Uh-huh.
And they told me that I learned about that. They made the pasta there because it was very windy, like sort of breezy, and they could hang the raw pasta. You know this, I guess.
I know the story, yeah.
Yeah, this is fantastic. And my great-grandfather on that side, his last name was Marasco because it was my paternal grandmother's father. He came here with nothing, like basically the shoeshine story, shoeshine boy. Became a VIP, became wealthy, owned real estate in Little Italy, started the Italian Savings Bank, started the Italian Hospital. He helped Mother Cabrini. He knew Theodore Roosevelt. He became a New York State Assemblyman who put in the first petition to make Columbus Day a legal holiday. And he was the first Grand Marshal in the Columbus Day Parade on Fifth Avenue. When he passed, he was 50 years old. The doctor told him not to go out and vote. It wasn't good for his health. And he died.
Wow.
That's how civically minded he was. He also was the first Italian-American presidential elector. His name is Rocco Maria Marasco.
Wow, that's amazing.
I think I'm following in my grandfather's footsteps, and I can tell you what's been going on because I've been doing so many things that I can tell you about. But my Italian Christmas show is coming. Maybe you'd like to hear about that, or you ask me. You're the interviewer. What you'd like to know?
Well, just a couple of things that we have in common because I'm Napolitan and Barese. My father's family was from Naples. My mother's family was from Torito. And we were there a couple of years ago and Bari was fantastic. We really, really enjoyed it there. And you are the second Pugliese singer that I've interviewed. I don't know if do you know Vanessa Racci?
Yeah.
Yes, she just sang at our club Friday.
Oh, wonderful.
Last Friday.
She's adorable. Yeah.
Oh, she's a sweetheart. We love everybody went nuts over her. She did a super show. She had a great band with her. So yeah, so there's three Pugliese, two could sing and one sounds like Bob Dylan and Mick Jagger combined. That would be me.
Yeah, you know what? When I was there, my mother's side, every single person had an incredible voice. And when I went to Molfetta, they told me that it was the land of singers.
Really?
Yeah, I was kind of surprised. But then when I think My aunt had great voice. My uncle, my mother had, forget about it. One of the most incredible angelic voices I've ever heard. I even play her voice during my annual Christmas in Italy concert show. We have a section where I play her singing the Ave Maria when she was 16 years old in a studio in Times Square. She came into, what a voice. My mother was amazing, I'll be honest. She didn't become a professional singer, but the voice, and I'm knowledgeable. I'm an opera singer. I know.
How old would your mother be now?
Well, she's passed.
But you would be
on. So let's see. She would have been, in her 90s now.
Because my parents would be. My mother would have just turned 100. My father would have been 102. And the reason I asked is because I don't know if it was Times Square, and I wish we still had it. We don't. But my father sang a song to my mother before they were married at one of those, I guess, Times Square. We used to go in a booth and make the record.
Yes. Yeah.
So is that where your mother recorded it? Because 16, it had to be in the 40s, right? Late 40s.
Yeah, and whatever she did, it was a decent recording. Then I had somebody clean it up, But I remember as a child, she took us in there, myself and my brother. We record. You reminded me. She took us in some studio and we sang. Somewhere I have that recording.
Ah, that's funny. Yeah. Now everybody can record everything.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't even have to record it now. You just put it in AI and something comes out.
Oh, I know. It's amazing.
So what got you started in your career as a singer?
Well, I really wanted to I got the inspiration to be an actress, or they call it actor now. And I didn't project being a singer, I'll be honest. I went to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, which I graduated from. Robert Redford has gone there, Danny DeVito, Anne Bancroft, Edward G. Robinson. I mean, it's quite a school. And I love acting. When I was in my senior year, believe it or not, they cast me in a Clifford Odets play called Awake and Sing. And that's exactly what happened. It was about a Depression era family, and she plays Enrico Caruso records. Anyway, that is when I got the inspiration to become an opera singer. I had a fine voice, but I didn't relate. I didn't understand the Italian. I was studying acting. So I learned to speak fluent Italian, go into being an opera singer, and I make a joke in my nightclub act because opera is so dramatic that I could sing, I could act, and I could eat the lasagna because I always liked to eat. And they would say, Cristina, you have to lose 15 pounds. You have to. I said, I'll be an opera singer. I can and that's my journey. And what happened was I got this eccentric voice teacher in Brooklyn. Oh, I forgot. I don't tell the stories about her, I used to always tell them in my nightclub act, and people love them so much. She would smoke cigarettes during my lesson. I'd be gagging. Just get over it. They smoke at La Scala. She was so eccentric. And she sent me to the local salumeria, the pizza. I would sing Mama Chitty Bitty Bin, standing there with the sausages hanging from the and that is how, and I started making money. Yeah, that's how I started.
So how old were you?
I was 18 or something to that effect. And so I make jokes about that too. I'm reminding myself of my great lines that I have to bring back to my show. I got paid $25. And then I say, and I still get paid $25. So but anyway, that's how it started. And I needed money for my lessons. So at that time in the United States, we had incredible festivals all over the United States where the top stars would perform. Al Martino, Vic Damone, Jerry Vale, all these people. And they sent me out there to Milwaukee, for example. I must have gone at least 8 to 10 years to Milwaukee, this huge Italian festival. And even in Jersey, they used to have the Italian festival at the PNC Bank Center. Is that what it's called now?
Yeah.
State Arts Center. And I was paid very well. and I would headline there, and I learned to be an entertainer. The agents would send me up to the Catskills, to the famous resorts, the Concord, the Nevele, the Raleigh Hotel. And I really learned my craft because I have sung at major opera houses, including the Palm Beach Opera, the Cairo Opera, the Hong Kong Opera, and with symphony orchestras. But I became a crossover singer, more like an operatic entertainer. And this entertainment skills brought me to PBS television even.
Yes, I saw that. I saw that in your notes, yeah.
Yeah, they hired me because I'm good with the audience, and I became the host for Andrea Bocelli in Central Park. That was huge. And they call it in the business, I was green. I had never done anything like that. And they hired me. They said, "We need your energy. We need your..." And then they hired me I learned to speak fluent Italian because I didn't want to sing opera and not understand, like what the words meant, in order to be able to act properly. But I was around so many Italians, and also being in opera, I learned many singers would come to New York who spoke other languages, and I would communicate in Italian. Even when I went to Korea, I was hired to sing in Korea. First, I'm going on and on if you want me to stop, but
no, that's okay.
I was hired as soprano soloist with the Mantovani Orchestra, first all through the United States, the Kennedy Center, we went to Washington, we went all over the United States to major Philadelphia Academy of Music. And then they hired me also to go to Japan and Korea. So then the promoters there hired me on my own to do solo concerts. So I went over to Korea, just myself, with the pianist, their Korean pianist, who didn't speak English, but he spoke Italian because he studied in Bologna.
Yeah.
So that was the language of music, the music world, the opera world.
So there's something that you said was very interesting, because I don't know anything about operas. The only exposure I ever had to opera was just a few weeks ago when the New Jersey Italian Heritage Commission and they were really, really good, two opera singers with just a pianist. But what you said was you learned Italian because you needed to understand the words so you could act. And it never dawned on me that an opera it's a show, right? So you need to know the emotions, I guess, right?
Oh, yes. And because I came from an acting background, like very well trained, I wanted to understand every word so that I could react just like you would in a drama on a stage, like in a play. And that is why I started learning. And what happened, I never expected this. My grandparents spoke the dialect, the Molfettese dialect. And I didn't anticipate having my Italian roots be so defining in my life. Like it started it really has been a defining factor in my career. I was hired, by PBS also to interview Il Volo because I speak Italian. And I won Best Actress in an adorable short comedy film, Italian, called Santino. I won Best Actress in the Cutting Room International Film Festival, the Las Vegas Venus International Film Festival, and it was Italian, but the character was an opera singer cousin who comes to Sunday dinner. They're trying to marry off the grandson. So she bursts into the room. She doesn't speak any lines. She sings all her lines. Like if somebody's at the door, and I was there last year. Gemstones, they're gorgeous that the Italian government builds in each town. And I had been compared to Maria Callas even early in my career, more than once, which is incredible honor. And it was because of Maria Callas's voice I became an opera singer, actually. Yeah.
I mean, we didn't see a show there, but we went to we did the tour of La Scala just in May. Because we were in Milan. I had been to Milan when I was working, but the closest I got to La Scala was walking past it on the way to work. but we went, and it is magnificent. I mean, pictures don't do it justice, when you see it and the way it's set up and everything. And they were doing a rehearsal there, so we did get to see a rehearsal.
Oh, well, that's great. I know opera is not like, I love singing in the opera. It's not my go-to for entertainment sometimes. It depends, but it's so majestic and it's very healing. And what we've lost sight of a little bit is, and I've worked on this because I also have a foundation, the Cristina Fontanelli Foundation. And part of our mission statement, in addition to, I've been doing it for 22 years, I'll tell you about the show, giving youth and children performance opportunities, even at Carnegie Hall, and preserving the great songs of Italy and now the world. But also our mission includes raising awareness of the scientifically proven healing benefits of classical music and the arts. And we could say even like music that's melodic or other, but there's actual scientific proof that there's no doubt that it's healing, both physically. It lowers people's cholesterol, lowers your, high blood pressure, lowers the crime rate, helps children learn better. I mean, these are scientifically proven facts, and it's very disturbing that they're taking the arts out of schools, because for peanuts, like really peanuts, children could have better outlet and feel more peaceful and be creative. And it's wrong to take it out of the curriculum. It's wrong. We're not doing ourselves a favor. Look how they are behaving. So I hope to make a greater impact in that area. I actually just spoke at the United Nations at a peace conference, and that is what I chose to speak about, because like I said, it's not costly. Give a kid a violin or give them some piano lessons or let them sing in a choir. And what happens, just one of the examples, the human heart rate will start to match the music.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So it is a natural tranquilizer, and it actually organizes the brain waves so that children can learn better, and adults too. And it's been proven that people's anxiety levels will go down if they have listened to classical music for 30 minutes a day. But the most powerful thing, I think, to prove it, there's a Japanese scientist, Dr. Emoto, that did experiments with water. And human beings are 70% water, 60 to 7, and babies are even more, like 78% water. So if you speak into water, ugly words, I'll kill you, you're ugly, I hate you, or you play that horrible rap and hip hop with those lyrics that are so terrible, the water turns into these deformed, ugly, like almost like a diseased lung with cancer, broken images of a snowflake, so to speak, lacy. If you say, I love you, you're beautiful, you play classical music, you can actually see this on YouTube. Water forms crystals that are pure, like individual snowflakes, white, unbroken, different forms. To me, this is the most important thing. No one can say that it's just an elitist art form. We need it to heal people. So we're missing the boat. Everyone's so aggressive and having major issues with violence and behavior that's really bad. A lot of anxiety. So I'm laughing. It's not funny, but thank you for listening, because it's such an important.
No, and I didn't know that. I'm gonna check that out, that experiment. So is that what the Christmas concert's about?
We'll be right back.
Experience Italy like never before, traveling with a scheduled group or create your own bespoke tour with friends with philitaly.co. Pack your bags and follow Phil. That's www.philitaly.co.
Well, the Christmas concert I started 22 years ago. I decided to call it Christmas in Italy because I was invited to sing. The New York Times was there, and they were interviewing the actors from The Sopranos. And they were, some of them were my pals, so to speak. I was in that group, right, with the actors, and they said, Cristina, come and sing. So I decided to sing 2 songs. I think I sang Funiculi, Funicola, and Torna Sorrento. And the reporter, after I sang Sorrento, ran up to me and said, "Oh, that's so beautiful. What is that? What is that?" And I had to explain it's a Neapolitan folk song. And they wrote about it in the New York Times the next day. And I said, this is terrible. We're losing our heritage. And someone had just recently said to me, why don't you do a concert in a church or do something? But like Mickey Rooney, remember the old movies? I'll put on a show.
Yeah.
I decided I would rent Merkin Concert Hall at Lincoln Center. Like ignorance is bliss, right? I decided all of a sudden I became a producer. I rented one of the most important concert halls in New York City, and I put on Christmas in Italy. And we had mandolin, accordion, piano, myself, and I had a vision for children, for more mandolins. And through the years, we've had dancing children to Dominic the Donkey and other wonderful things. And now we have mandolins and guitar and accordion and choruses. We've had high schools. We had 2 years, Xavier High School, Xaverian High School. They teach Italian in Brooklyn. You know about that?
Yeah, I know the school. Yeah.
So we had the junior high and the high school. They came and joined us. One year it was on Pearl Harbor Day. We had a school singing in sign language to God Bless America, and plus the Italian Tu scendi dalle stelle. That's a staple. We always have that with the mandolins, the guitar. We had Tony LoBianco as our MC several times, including he passed away. We loved him so. He MC'd for us at Carnegie Hall. And so this year, I was so busy, and I believe it was a divine inspiration to do this show. 22 years, we donate to children's causes. We've given thousands of dollars to St. Jude's, to food pantries. There's an orphanage in Naples that we sent money to, and all the children that have appeared. Hundreds. We had one boy, Anthony Matson, who started with us when he was 8 years old. I discovered him. He was singing as a mini Frank Sinatra in the street in Little Italy during the Feast of San Gennaro with his mother, with the little hat, the bowler hat. And his mother said, oh, Anthony wants to be a singer. So she took him in a studio and he recorded, I don't know, New York, New York. And I said, listen, he's a little young. He's a little too green for us yet. But why doesn't he join the chorus of Christmas in Italy? Well, he sang with us for 10 years. As he got older, I gave him solos. Like when he was 18, he sang with me Time to Say Goodbye and another solo on our concert. And then he went off to music conservatory. He also sang in the chorus at the Metropolitan Opera, Anthony. And his mother I just logged on Sunday. He's at Boston Conservatory of Music. And I watched his senior recital. That's what they call it. They make the young singers, right? And I wrote to her and I said, boy, Anthony sure came a long way since the streets of Little Italy. It's such a great, and I told her that every time I market the show, I see his little face. Like we have photographs of previous years. And the children grew up with us. They literally grew up with us and they have all kinds of memories,
Yeah, my nephews, both my sister's 2 kids, they went to the Frank Sinatra school.
I've been wanting to.
They enjoyed that so much. The oldest one, he was in. He's got a really good voice. Now he's some kind of therapist or something like that. I don't know the exact title, but he was in a band for one of these. Well, I guess they were a metal band or something like that. But he wrote He wrote a fantastic song. His older brother passed away.
Oh,
Michael was 10 and Daniel was 4. And
oh,
when he was 18 with the band, he wrote a song. I'll send you this song.
I'd love
It'll
to
make you
hear
cry.
it.
It'll make you cry.
Oh, what? I'd love to hear it.
But they both were there. They met Tony Bennett because he was
Yes.
he went there every year. He would go like clockwork.
I've been meaning to get myself over there and meet them and maybe involve some of the kids, you know. I actually appeared with Tony Bennett. It's one of the highlights of my
I'm sure. Yeah.
more than once, actually. And I have so many stories, and you're such a good host. You're listening to them.
I've gotten better. When I started, my wife used to tell me I talk too much. So now I try not to talk so much.
Oh, boy, you sure let us talk. That's for sure. Yeah, so we have our 22nd annual Christmas in Italy coming up on December 19 and December 20. I'm very pleased it's at the church during COVID when they were shutting down Radio City and all the Broadway theaters. Our Christmas in Italy continued, and I think it's miraculous because even in December of 2020, at the height when it first started, our Christmas in Italy went on. It was a modified version, very small, very profound, but it was in the Church of St. Jean Baptiste, which is on 76th and Lexington. It's a very special church. It's had many miraculous cures in that church. They have the relic of St. Anne, which I didn't understand who she was, but I learned about all the saints by singing at Italian festivals. So the relic of St. Anne is in the church. There's actually her bone, a finger. And the way it wound up, there were missionaries coming through New York at the beginning of the century, and there were so many cures. They had it with them. So many cures that they built a shrine to St. Anne in the church. And that's at St. Jean Baptiste on 70. And that is where we had our in December of 2020, Christmas in Italy. We never missed a year. Then the next year, I had it at the Church of the Most Precious Blood, where the Italian immigrants built in Little Italy. And they were shutting down Radio City, and our shows went on. I really believe it's divinely, you know, and that is why they invited me to go to Italy last year, to start that with the children in Italy. But what we really do need are more sponsors. I'm so busy all the time. I never even have time to sort of reach out properly and get a big corporate sponsor. I mean, if you know anyone, that would be fantastic because if there's a need, you know, we help the church, we help the kids, the children. This year, we're having autistic kids, special needs, sing. And when the teacher sent me the video, it kind of broke my heart because I never want to turn children away, ever. They're in high school, I think, these kids. And they couldn't hold the notes on their own. So I had an idea that we're going to have a buddy system. The parents and the main teacher are going to sing with them. And if we can find a few phrases which they could sing on their own, and we're going to have a beautiful kind of large group of children that necessarily wouldn't have a chance to perform like this. And we now are getting the dancers. I have the mandolins. My accordion player has been called the greatest accordionist in the whole world. He's been nominated for Grammy Awards, and he plays with us every year, Bill Schimmel, a great Spanish guitarist. We have mandolins. The head mandolinist has played with the Metropolitan Opera and the New York Philharmonic, Joyce Ballant. And I always highlight an up-and-coming tenor. I've discovered tenors. So I'm going to do talent search and see if we can't find a new one. Like to give people opportunities, you know, young singers.
Sure. Yeah, no, I think that's important. But I think what's really important, like you said earlier, is the whole culture, keeping the culture going, because that's why I do this, because I'm terrified that we're going to lose our culture.
Yeah, that's a strong word, terrified.
Yeah.
And this is a nice interview and it's polite and fun. But I live in New York City and I'm very concerned about what's happening. And if we don't have a louder voice to preserve what we believe is important, including Christmas, someone said to me, "Oh, Cristina, change the name to Holiday." No, it's Christmas
It's
in
Christmas, right?
Italy. So you understand. I mean,
When I first started at Chemical Bank, Chemical Bank, right?
yes,
So when I first started there, we had a Christmas party every year, and it didn't matter. Everybody went to the Christmas party. Then it became the holiday party.
right,
Then it became the end of year party.
right. Well, you know what? We can shine lights very brightly and make a lot of noise, so to speak, and express our joy in the spirit and what we believe is the reason for the season. Although, I mean, they always had winter, what do you call it? Even the Romans. But, that's one of the reasons I do what I do, because I'm adamant about preserving what I think is important and what's bringing value to the world. If we lose our culture, our heritage, not only Italian, although the Italians are the cradle of civilization in so many ways, artists, our
Yeah, right.
literature, our,
Everything.
music, it's
Everything.
everything. And what it represents, I was very moved because at one of my shows, we had a reviewer from the Epic Times. I got a headline, and I'm not saying it's because it's me. He chose to write this. Cristina Fontanelli preserving values through opera. He could have said anything. He could have said it was a nice show and the kids were cute no, Cristina Fontanelli preserving values. So that is what I'm really trying to do. And if you know anyone that could help the cause.
Well, we'll certainly put this out there, and I know a couple of people that might be able to do something, but
We'll
certainly
phenomenal.
put it out there to everybody, because, like I said, it is important, especially getting the young kids. I mean, I'm 74, and I just learned that within the last few weeks the real reason for Columbus Day, and it's not what people think. It's not because he was an explorer. It's
right.
because of the lynching in New
that's
Orleans.
right. That's the reason it came around. That's right.
the reason. But who knows that? I mean,
but,
I know it now.
It's also the marketing, right? Like if we're not in charge of marketing that, but I think that should have been highlighted a lot more, and it would have helped solve this terrible fight that's gone on. Like how they try to, well, now I'll go off into my political thing, because believe it or not, I was so, I don't want to use the word disturbed, but that's definitely part of it. I actually jumped in as a write-in candidate for city council where I live in New York City. And it's Times Square, the theater district, Greenwich Village, and I felt like somebody's really got to say what needs to be said, my opinion about what needs to be said. Like, for balance, we can't just have like our Columbus being denigrated and desecrated, and when you said what it represents,
and for the wrong reason.
The wrong reason.
For the wrong reason.
So we need to grab onto these narratives and shape them with truth. We can't just allow other people to take stories and, use them for their own purposes. I don't like it. That is why I'm working so hard, as you can see, in every area, trying to make a difference. And I have made a difference. I mean, sometimes you can't see the forest for the trees because you're so in a struggle, sort of like a battle. This has to happen. And I'm very busy all the time. I actually get called in now. They didn't cast me yet, but for major TV series, because I decided I wanted to do more acting. It would help my name too, as far as getting cast in larger things. And so they called me in for Law and Order. Gave me one line to read in the audition. And then they called me back for a scene, like a really hefty scene. And I really did a good job. And they called me in for The Godfather of Harlem. They loved me. My agent told me they love you, Cristina. They never write. And another major TV series. So, I think it's a question of time before I get cast. And the irony is, when I was very young, I was so shy. A lot of famous actors are shy. Robert Redford came to speak with us at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. And in the theater there, when I was young and going to school there, the theater looked big. But now if I go back there, it looks tiny to me. I mean, I've been in big concert halls but we couldn't even hear him. He was shy.
Wow.
Many actors are shy. So I had to learn how to be an entertainer, be a public figure, and it's been quite a journey because
it dawned on me because I want to ask you a technical question, because when we were singing the opera singers sang the other day, they were, I'm a very bad guitar player, but I had a band in Florida and I would sing and stuff like that. But when you're singing rock and roll, you're right here on the microphone. But the microphone was, like 2 or 3 feet from them. So now is that something that when you're singing with a microphone as someone who projects a really good voice or an operatic voice, are you trained to stay away from that microphone?
Well, I've been a popular singer and an opera singer. So I've stood on opera stages where there's no microphone at all.
Uh-huh.
And actually, in a way, it's very healthy for your voice because it's almost like an athlete that's running a marathon, like you're using your gift at its full capacity because you have to. But then there are times like if you're singing, I'm not going to answer directly until I say this. A lot has to do with the acoustic in the theater or the hall that you're in or the room that you're in. Most opera singers, I don't know how much experience they had or whatever. I have a tendency to like microphones because modern audiences are used to hearing a very present sound. They're not used to, like, if you go in an opera house and you can't hear the singers, like you're used to hearing people on the radio or on, you could turn up the volume. So I like audiences not to have to struggle to hear. And I have a big voice. And there are times when audiences say to me, oh, you would have sounded better without the microphone. That's, if you don't have a great sound engineer, it's a tough call. But I'd rather have people hear me, like really hear me. And then if I'm singing popular stuff, like I sing Sinatra sometimes, or I sing one of my Broadway tunes that I love to sing is Send in the Clowns. And I pull my voice way back, like way, and then you just sort of are almost whispering into the microphone.
Mm.
So you use it as a tool.
Yeah.
But opera singers are, yes, sometimes I have to stand back. Like I went to sing at the inauguration of President Bush, George W. Bush. It's a long time already now. But I had my sound check at the presidential podium in Washington, D.C. And the sound and this guy, they had just, I went up to the microphone to test it and I start singing, oh, see, can you, and he said, you're a real singer. You don't have to like get back from the microphone,
Yeah.
So I had to back up. It depends, it really depends on where you're at.
Yeah, that's funny. So for somebody who's in the process of aspiring to, whether it's a singer or an actor or anything, what advice would you give to the young people that want to get into the business? Because I know it's an extremely difficult business, right?
Well, you're so smart. Maybe it's your background because you used the word business. And that's exactly what I would tell them. Treat it like it's a business. Be proactive, market yourself. I remember when I was coming up, I had a motto. I have to be how they say you have to be in the right place at the right time. I said, well, I have to be everywhere all the time. And my personality was, I never really concentrated on one thing. That's why I have a very kind of eclectic career in life, because I never just dedicated myself to the opera. I'm not saying that's bad. It's not bad, but it wasn't my thing. Like I loved acting. I wound up PBS TV hosting, I've done so many things and it's actually, but if you really want to work in this business and even try to make a living, the more proactive you are, the better off you are. And what I did also that worked in my favor too, and it just came as an inspiration, was when I started producing these shows. That was an inspiration. I didn't think to myself, oh, I'm a producer. I didn't think like that, but that's what I became, a producer. I rented theaters. I sold the tickets. I marketed the show. You know, I even choreographed the numbers when the kids came. So I would go in with the children. We had the Jersey City Ballet kids for a couple of years. And I literally went in to the rehearsal with them and I was jumping up and down. I said, come on, come on. It's like, it's fun. It's fun. Let's see. And I would get in there with them, rev them up and tell them, you go there, you go there.
I got to stay in the band because I used to book the gigs. So see, they had to keep me in the band for that reason alone.
Oh, you booked the gigs because you're a businessman.
Yeah.
That's why.
Brian was he's a fabulous guitar player. I mean, for just a guy playing the guitar. I mean, we wrote some songs together and I could tell him, Brian, this should be a rockabilly song. And the next day he'd have this lead worked out. Or I'd say it should be a blues song. And I played, we had another guitar player who was very, very good and he could play just like a record. It was, and he was a much better guitar player than me, but it was clinical. Where Brian, it was a feeling, and even though he was playing the same thing, the feel was different. If you know what I mean.
Yes. There was a famous book about Luciano Pavarotti. His PR person wrote it, and he was very crass. I forget his name. He was unusual for the opera world because everyone was so sort of polite and nice. But he said, "Oh, Luciano, he didn't know music, but he knew how it went." That's how he described what you're saying.
Yeah.
The musicality. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
How people could sing or play notes. And then there's the one that brings it to life. And you want to cry or whatever it is. It's that ethereal thing that happens.
Well, I have a good friend from College Point. We grew up. In fact, my ex-wife and his wife were best friends. They grew up in the same block. Billy's played with... He toured with the Vanilla Fudge. He toured with the New Rascals. He played with Chubby Checker.
Oh, wow.
But the funniest story he told me was Randy and the Rainbows. And he was playing keyboards for them. And Billy doesn't know how to read music.
Wow.
But he has an ear, right? So
obviously.
They were in rehearsal and he knows the song and he's playing the song. And everybody else has this, because there's a big band, everybody else has sheet music in front of them. And they're all playing and they're all hitting the wrong note.
Wow.
Because Randy wrote it wrong.
That's so funny.
When he wrote it down. So then now they're all trying to figure out what's going on. And then he said, well, wait a second. How come you're playing the right note? And he had to confess. I don't know how to read music. I just know the song. But anyway, they didn't kick him out of the band. He got to stay in the band. I
love that.
But the last episode of The Sopranos, when they do You Keep Me Hanging On.
Oh, okay.
That's Billy singing on the keyboards and playing. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was with the Vanilla Fudge, and they re-recorded it for the.
Oh, I'd love to hear some of your music.
I'll send you some. It's not opera, believe me.
Well, I got hired. You're gonna probably know the names for sure. And I was a young singer, and there was a new record label called Meadowlands Records, and the head of it was Sandy Linzer, who wrote for the Four Seasons. Does that name?
Oh, yeah.
His first hit was Dawn, Working My Way Back to You. I think that song, too, that you just mentioned. I think he wrote that.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, it could be. I actually got to play with Billy one time. I'll send you that one. We were both in Florida. He's still in Florida. And there's a great stage at Daytona. And I said to him, how come you never play there? He said, I don't know about it. Well, what's the deal? So I told him, I said, they have these summer concerts and everything. So he called me up a couple of weeks later and said, hey, we booked. So I said, oh, so I get to play with you? So he said, yeah, learn these 2 songs and you get to be on the stage with us. And it was him and it was a guy who played the bass with Tom Petty, another guy who played with Springsteen, the drummer from a drummer from Rick Derringer.
Wow.
And they were so nice. I mean, after at the end of the show and everything, they were coming over to me, thanking me for playing with them, and I'm like, this was like, my rock and roll dream.
Aww.
So it was. I'll send you that one. It's a lot of fun. And
wonderful.
Billy's he's really, really a good showman. He's
he's knowing
very
about that.
Way out there. And now he just recorded a song, and he been playing. They named the band Steam, after the Steam guys from the 60s there, right?
Oh, wow.
But he goes and he'll go to, senior citizen homes and sing just, with a backing track or something like that. And he's a good guy. And he knows all of these people from years ago. Well, so before we go, where can people get in touch with you? Where they can find your music or book you or get involved?
I'm all over the internet. That's for sure. But I have a website, and it's www.CristinaFontanelli.com. Cristina without an H, Italian style. And I have also, if they want to help, I mean, I'd be so happy because of the charitable work I'm doing with the kids and the music, is the www.thecristinafontanellifoundation.org. I also have Facebook. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. And I need to build up my YouTube more, but I am on YouTube. Never did enough with that, but I'm on Spotify. You can find me. You can find me anywhere.
I'll put all the links out there and everything like that.
Okay, thanks so much. And ciao a tutti. Buon Natale. Happy Thanksgiving.